So I think like most Richmond fans out there, I was really excited and highly anticipating to see what the new numbers would look like for our players in 2025. After all, not only did the Tigers go on to select 8 new players, but we have a ton of other players on the list who were obviously looking for a number upgrade. And again, I think it's commonly known now that in the past year or two, Richmond have been very, I think, stagnant, is that the word, on giving numbers out, and especially giving good numbers out to players and whatnot, to the point where the Tigers have actually had, like, I think number 8, 9, 11, 12, 16 free for at least a year for some of them, even 2 years for others, etc., etc. So I think there was a point of emphasis on this, off-season, particularly because a lot of people were like, are the Tigers finally going to start to give out these good numbers to some of their players, and especially some of those who were drafted and selected at high picks? Again, for some reason, the Tigers decided not to. They decided to not only keep number 4 retired, which is fair enough because it's Dustin Martin's number and he's the greatest Tiger of all time, arguably greatest player of all time, so it makes sense to maybe cool off on that number, but decided to keep number 8 and 9 vacant. And even more strange, number 6 was left vacant for another year, which doesn't particularly make any sense because it's not like the previous player who wore it as a Richmond legend or anything. It was worn by fucking Patrick Naish. I don't even know if that guy would be a Frankston Dolphins legend if he played for him. What I'm trying to say is here, not only are a lot of Richmond fans really disappointed by the new number announcements, but I also am very disappointed. I thought, you know what, let's go over all of my thoughts and opinions on the new number and jersey announcements with you guys. And of course, again, give you guys my thoughts and opinions, but also a platform for you guys to tell me all of your thoughts and opinions down below on what do you guys think about the jersey numbers and how would you have changed it, whatever it might be. Again, before we do get into it, if you haven't already, there is still a decent amount of you guys who watch these videos who are not yet subscribed. So if you're a Richmond fan or an AFL fan in general, or just a cutie patootie, please make sure to leave a like on this video to let me know you enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel for all the latest AFL and Richmond content. But I guess without further ado, let's get straight into it with number 2, who was actually given to Jacob Hopper, again formerly worn by Dylan Grimes last season. Usually when a player retires for the Tigers, they like to keep the number retired for about a year or so, but nope, I don't know why, they just said, gave the big bird to Dylan Grimes and said, nah, Jacob Hopper wants to wear it, so we're going to give it to him. And look, it makes sense. Jacob Hopper wore number 2 at his whole entire career with the GWS Giants, and that's when he was actually a good footballer. And then when he got to the Tigers, he started wearing 22 and turned into whatever Deshaun Watson is doing on the Browns right now, or whatever Billy Frampton was doing in the 2023 AFL Grand Final. That is the equivalent to what Jacob Hopper has been like with the Tigers. So again, I'm happy with him taking on number 2. I hope for some reason or not that this could potentially turn him back into the Jacob Hopper that we once, of course, knew. So I actually rate this number change, but again, the next number change we have is Ryan Mansell getting number 7. Now look, I am not as disappointed as I was yesterday with this number, but I tell you what, when I found out yesterday that they gave my favorite number, my lucky number, number 7, to Ryan Mansell, the disappointment on my face was more disappointed than when I think I saw the last Joker movie and when I found out Mia Khalifa retired from Korn videos. Again, that's how disappointed I was when I found out they gave Ryan Mansell number 7, especially considering it was worn by my favorite player in Liam Baker, and it's now given to a guy who I don't really rate. Definitely hurts a lot, but again, I've come around to it. I saw him training with the number on, and I actually think he looks really good in it. And from what I've heard, he is supposed to double his play next season with the Tigers. So I'm very hopeful for that. I'm very interested to see how he, of course, all does go. And I hope he gives the number 7 justice, because the guy who formerly wore that was basically Jesus Christ to me. So shout out Ryan Mansell. You gotta do something good. Again, after number 7, we gave number 12 to Ben Miller. I know a lot of Richmond fans dislike Ben Miller. I'm actually a pretty big Ben Miller fan. I'm not even going to cap. I think he's actually a really good footballer. David Asprey was one of my favourite Tigers of all time, and Matthew Richardson is and was arguably the greatest Tiger of all time until, you know, Dusty came along and whatnot, and obviously KB before him. But again, they've decided to give number 12 to Ben Miller, which I don't mind. I think Ben Miller, even though Richmond fans, some of them are preying on this man's downfall, he will probably play every game again for us next season, and probably the season after that. I don't mind this jumper change. It's not that bad. Again, 16 to Josh Smiley. I know a lot of Richmond fans dislike as well. Yes, he should have been given number 9, but it is what it is. I think we haven't had a good 16 in a while, so it will be cool to see him wear 16. And again, I think eventually next season he'll probably move on to a top 10, and that will probably be number 9. But again, it is what it is. Maurice Rioli Jr. gets the number 17. Absolutely legendary. I did predict this. I did say I think he'll get number 17, and he will take, you know, over from Daniel Rioli, and will wear this number in his father's footsteps as well. So a terrific moment for the Richmond Football Club. I love this. And then again, I mean, yeah. Who tried to cook by giving Sam Lalor the number 1 pick, number 22? Again, I think this is by far the worst one. When I saw this, I nearly spewed up my Hungry Jacks that I ate, and I was pretty happy with that sitting in my tummy, relaxing and putting more fat on my body. But again, 22, worn by Jacob Hopper, who's done nothing in the Richmond colours. Previously, Josh Caddy, who is a Tigers legend now, but I mean, it's ridiculous not to give your number 1 pick a top 10 number. And not just that, all this narrative bullshit of your players having to prove to have a good number is ridiculous. I mean, did you not being number 1 not be enough to prove that you deserve a good number? Again, that is so ridiculous. And if I was Sam Lalor, I would be thinking, oh, so this is how the Richmond Football Club thinks of me. You know, they love me that much. They gave me a shit number. They think so highly of me. They gave me a shit number. Again, I know it's not really that deep, and I may be overreacting like Cam from Modern Family does usually, but no, I think this is stupid. I mean, you've already proved your worth by being the number 1 overall pick. I don't care. Giving him number 22 especially is disgusting. And yeah, I don't like it. And I'm glad a lot of Richmond fans are hating on it. Now, Taj Houghton in the 24. Yeah, it is what it is. If you're not giving Lalor a top 10, you're not going to give it to Taj Houghton. I think he will prove himself, though, eventually to be in a top 10 number. Again, I'm hoping he plays the last couple games of the year for the Tigers, but considering he won't have a pre-season really, and he won't be back till like round 10 to 12, I wouldn't be surprised if they, you know, started him in the VFL from like round 16 or 17, and then maybe if he was AFL ready by like 21, they would probably bring him in. But I don't expect him to play much footy for the Tigers this year again. Even when he does come back from his ACL, I don't know how much he will play. I don't even know if he'll play much VFL. He could just start off with like 25 to 40% game time. And again, I think most of his comeback will be returning in training. And look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not in the medical field, so I don't know what they're going to do with him. But an 18-year-old doing his ACL, you know, you're going to want to very much take this with a lot of caution. So we'll see how he goes. Again, Jonty Fallen, the 26. He will be battling it out with Harry Armstrong on who can get that number 8 or whatever. One of them will definitely, I think, get a top 10 number next year. The other one may not. You know, we're going to have to wait and see. Again, Jasper Olga getting the number 29, which I find strange that they've done this. And the reason I say that is just because I feel like number 29 is becoming a legacy number now at Richmond. Of course, the legacy numbers at the Tigers are, number 17 for Jack Dyer and all three Riolis now. But of course, number 4 for Dustin Martin, the club champion, and a couple players before him. But 29 should kind of be a legacy number for Richmond. Kevin Bartlett, a top 3 player of all time for the Tigers, wore that number. And then Shea Bolton, a probably top 5 greatest small forward all time for the Tigers, also wore it, who was a 2-time premiership player. It's like, yeah, to give it to a guy like Jasper Olga, who was obviously a very late pick, is an interesting call. I thought this number would have been left free for another year, or would have been given to a rookie like Taj Houghton, who I guess maybe deserved it more by being a higher pick, but they decided to go Jasper Olga with this pick, so I don't know. That's a weird one for me. Luke Traynor in the 31. I don't know why, but I low-key like this number. I think Traynor suits the 31. I don't know why. Again, Nick Floston previously worn this, and he looked cool in it as a defender, so I don't mind this at all. Harry Armstrong, 34. Again, I actually don't mind this number on Armstrong either. I think he will be trying to get the number 8 or the number 6 next year. However they, of course, go about that, I think both of him and Jonty Fall will be trying for that. Again, Thomas Sims in 38 is Thomas Sims in 38. No opinion, really. Jacob Light moves to 46, which is funny. And then Campbell Gray, yeah, he moves to 50. So they didn't really retire Marlon Pickett's number for a year like they do with most. I don't know why they decided not to do that. Like, they could have given this guy like number 49 or something. Instead, they gave him 50, which I don't really know. Richmond are trying to cook there, I guess. And it's, yeah, I have, there's not much opinion on that. But look, the numbers are all here. It's, I think, 14 changes, which would have to be the most, I think, probably ever in AFL history. I can't remember any team that's had more than like 10 changes, and Richmond literally had 14, which is so crazy to think. So I'm extremely interested to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Do you guys like the new numbers for Richmond, or do you guys not? What numbers would you change, and how would you go about it? Of course, I'd very much like to know. Subscribe to this channel for all the latest sports content and news, as well as my gaming MLIRL/vlogging channels will also be getting linked in the description down below. Again, don't forget to comment all of your thoughts and opinions about all of this down below, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.